Welcome to BitBoy Crypto, the largest crypto community in all of the interwebs. I'm your host, DEEZY, and welcome to Around the Blockchain. Sorry for us being late. We kind of had a little bit of last-second scrambling behind the scenes, but we're here now. We're good to go, and oh boy, it's going to be a wild one today. Let me just go ahead and tell you that. The largest crypto community in all the civilizations above ground and subterranean as well. So take that, mole people. All right, this is Around the Blockchain. We're here Monday through Friday, 5 p.m. Eastern. I appreciate you joining us, and we're going to get right into it since we're starting late. Hey, we have some great guests today. We have WendyO, the coolest lady in all of crypto. We also have N Cheeasy bringing it in, coming in clutch at the last second with the red hat. That's not Waldo, but he can find those missing Satoshis. And we also have our new VP, Justin Williams. He was a director, and now he's a VP. Let's hope the power doesn't go to his head. You know how he likes to scare all the people with his crazy talk of tethering out. And to round it up, we have Ben Armstrong. TikTok, Bitcoin can't stop. But I guess he could keep going at least 35 miles per hour. All right, so we're going to dive into a little bit of market watch here. It looks like it's been a little bit of a red day. I'm checking right here. Ethereum has not been doing that good. It's right here on CoinGecko. Looks like it's at $2,030. It's holding that little bit of support above 2,000, but it is getting a little bit of scary. We do have some good news. It looks like Synthetics is still up. They're up 6%. They're up almost 50% on the week. So it's not all red candles on the weekly out there. There's a little bit of hopium out there, or hopium, as some people call it. Maniacs call it. I don't call it that. It's clearly hopium. But I'm going to take it to you, Wendy. What is it? What's the support looking like for Ethereum? Is this something we should worry about? Are we going to dip back into like the 1850 range? What are you thinking here?
This is the Bitcoin chart, but let's actually take a look at Ethereum. I actually did not look at Ethereum earlier today. I was kind of paying attention to Litecoin. It looked like there would have been a potential 9% swing. You could have traded earlier, but that's probably invalidated considering Bitcoin's bearish price action. Taking a look at Ethereum, we broke below this adorable little trend line here. We're currently teetering on the EMA 200 at about 2025. This is looking like it's going to break. MACD is looking very, very not healthy, and RSI is not looking healthy. Taking a look at the 4-hour chart just to get some confirmation, we're struggling a little bit here, but it's unless we can really get back above the 2160 area, I think that we're probably going to head down to approximately 1757. This will probably play out over the week. So those are going to be the two scenarios I can give to you, and things are not looking the best currently.
Well, let's hope we can get above 21 or 2060 and then stay above that. 1750. That sounds scary. That's like what year Paul Revere died or something. That's a low number. We got to get above that. Buy and hold, people. Buy and hold the line. And we got some great topics today. We're going to talk about TikTok going after crypto. It looks like it might be a little bit scarier sounding than in actuality what's actually happening here. We have the IMF, or as I like to call them, the International Monsters of Fiat, embracing crypto. Is this good? Is this bad? We don't know. And a serious question here. It's one of the most questions that I get, like, out of all the emails. People, they want to know how to do tax. That's boring. But the other thing people want to know about is the halving cycle. Like, what is it? What does it do? And we're going to say, is it dead? Is it still validated? Is this a real thing that we need to worry about? But we're going to take it straight to the first one. TikTok going after crypto. A little bit of a background. TikTok is huge. If you're not on it, in America, you're almost in the minority there. I was looking at some stats. 4.5 billion people have monthly access to the internet. 4.5 billion. Of that, about 1.3 access TikTok at least once a month. That's almost 1 in 3 people. That is really, really insane. It's the top app of 2020. And they released a rule. They said they're going to no longer allow people to advertise trading platforms, cryptocurrencies, pyramid schemes, get-rich schemes, credit cards, and loans. Now, I want to bring it to you, Wendy. You actually talk against scams, saying, watch out for this. You're giving people good information. Do you think this is an overreaction, or do you think this is a good thing?
I don't like the idea of centralization. I don't like the idea of telling people what they can and can't do. And when it comes to cryptocurrency, we are still in a technically we are still in a free market. Yes, regulation is coming and whatnot. But at the same time, just because I don't care for a particular cryptocurrency, doesn't mean that it's a scam. So, for example, you might like coin X, I might like coin one, and just because we don't disagree doesn't mean those projects are scams. And just because the price ends up going down on a particular project doesn't mean that it's a scam. Price does not equate to utility. So it's very interesting to kind of see people kind of interfighting in the cryptocurrency community about what is a scam and what isn't a scam. But at the same time, too, I don't really think, I mean, TikTok is a centralized platform. We are using it for free. So I understand where they're coming from. But at the same time, the ban is not just on cryptocurrency. The ban is for cryptocurrency and traditional financial assets. And you saw the media kind of take this idea and run wild with it and spread a lot of misinformation. And it's just going to really make it harder for people to get that education about crypto, because a lot of our videos are becoming censored and they're kind of pulling the wrong videos out. And at the same time, too, it's also going to breed for people to do undisclosed paid promotion, which is not a good thing for the space.
Yeah, that's never a good thing unless you're a Kardashian, then you can get away with it. So N Cheeasy, you know, they're saying TikTok, one of the main reasons they're doing it is because they have a younger audience. Were you the one telling all the kids to buy Dogecoin? No, more seriously though, I'm sure you saw some of the Conor McGregor memes over the weekend. Crypto.com, it was splattered everywhere. You know, they're all wearing the T-shirt. It was on the octagon. You know, you just saw it everywhere. Now, we also have all the FTX, you know, they're signing with esports teams. They have the Miami Arena. Do you see, like, the advertising, you know, on one end, you know, it's a lot of money's being pumped into it, but on the other end, you know, they're trying to slow down some of that. Where do you see this going, like, in 5 years? How do you see this ending up? Are they going to, like, advertise more than Coca-Cola one day? Or as more and more companies, are they going to start, like, banning it and try to, quote-unquote, protect their consumers? Where do you see this headed?
Right. Yep. So back to like that initial TikTok point, I think the scary part with that is like, where do you draw that line? You know, is FTX, is Crypto.com, are these scams? Like, how do you define that? What a legitimate project versus a scam project? So where is that line that you draw? And to Wendy's, you know, this is kind of the scary thing. So you see American Airlines Arena, where the Miami Heat play, is now going to be FTX Arena. So, you know, they had this major deal to get this arena figured out. And now you have Crypto.com with a $175 million deal, 10 years with UFC. And these deals are getting bigger and bigger. And I think it's going in line with kind of the trend of crypto, right? So previously we saw, you know, institutions outside of the crypto space and players not necessarily getting involved. But we're seeing UFC. We're seeing the NBA effectively, because FTX Arena is going to be where the Miami Heat play. So we're seeing the NBA, we're seeing the UFC. It's really only a matter of time until we start seeing, you know, these football arenas or the NFL or these really major media conglomerates getting involved in the crypto space. So, you know, the same way we saw retailers go into institutions, we're going to see smaller, you know, advertisements like myself. I'm in the TikTok realm. That's where my primary audience is. We're going to see, you know, people like me, you know, Wendy, whoever it may be, these individuals, and it's going to go into these major media conglomerates.
Yeah. So Justin, I know you've been in the space for what seems like decades for you, just by judging by your beard. Now, Google also banned crypto adverts in 2018. Then they kind of relented a little bit. Facebook still has some things, you know, banned, you know, cryptocurrencies, trading platforms and such. Do you see, like, how's this going to go in the long term? Would you recommend saying, do they need to just stop completely, or are they just going to embrace it fully? Where do you think they're going to go? Like, do you see more of a capitulation by these large tech companies?
So I think as regulation moves into the market, which like healthy regulation, not banks controlling your Bitcoin regulation, but you know, as regulation goes to protect people from scams and being hacked and you know, rug pulls, I think more legitimate projects are going to come up, and so then platforms like Facebook and TikTok will probably loosen up some of that regulation about, you know, cutting crypto completely out. I mean, I remember in 2017, my entire Facebook feed was crypto projects. Like, it was an ad, every other ad was a crypto project. And then I remember all of a sudden it just stopped. Boom, it was over. because so many people got, so many people were exposed to scams and money was taken and they were taken advantage of. So I think there's some room in the space for that type of regulation to protect the people, but also think, I'm not for centralization where they completely cut out a whole sector in the space where no one can get information, similar to what Wendy was saying. No one can get education on the space or anything like that. So I think there's a fine line there. We got to find medium ground.
All right. Do you think this is like China FUD continuation, or is this a genuine concern for those things that you were mentioning, to protect people?
Could be some China FUD. I mean, I doubt it. I think, you saw it with Facebook. They kind of stuck to their guns when they made the call like that. So I don't think it's necessarily FUD. I think they really are cutting it out until some more regulation comes into the market. Some of these scam projects are done away with.
All right. So, Ben, I want to bring it to you. You've been in the influencer space since, I believe, 1997. Do you see, is this a thing that's actually going to stop anything? Because, kind of what Wendy was mentioning, these aren't official. When you see someone shilling mini Elon baby Doge pup coin, it's not a real advert. It's
Do not assassinate my bag.
I forgot you're the largest holder of that particular coin. No, is this actually going to stop anything, do you think? Or is this just all noise?
Well, I mean, there certainly is going to be, I believe, a higher standard put on crypto content. And look, I don't think there's any coincidence here that this is coming after. Basically, there's a group called FaZe Clan, and their founder, his name is FaZe K. This guy ran a pump and dump on a project that I believe rug pulled. And people lost a lot of money. There were a lot of people. Now, because look, here's the thing. We're crypto influencers, clearly, right? So our audience is clearly a crypto audience. And if they watch all of our videos and take them in, they're going to see oh, this guy said he's invested in this. Let me do some research on it. Let me think about it. If we do a promotion, it would be like, hey, this is clearly, something that someone paid me to do. Put a disclosure in there. But when you've got someone who's not in crypto, really, just the mainstream YouTube world, their audience is going to be a lot more gullible to fall for this stuff. I believe that 100%. So I think this is really geared to protect the noob. And look, my friend texted me yesterday. You guys know Jim, my best friend. He texted me yesterday, and he sent me a screenshot of it was Tyler Winklevoss talking on YouTube, and it was an ETH giveaway scam, right? So they run them on YouTube, and what it says is hey, send me this money in, and we'll send you, twice as much back. All they do is take a video, put it on a template, and they make it look like Tyler Winklevoss is actually sponsoring this giveaway. And there's no giveaway, obviously. You get people that are in crypto. This is a smart audience. You guys know that. Even my best friend sent me, he's like, what is this? And it was almost like he was saying this isn't legit, right? Just double checking it with me. This is a guy that knows, is very savvy. And so the point is, these things, these scams, they are made to look so realistic and so, professional. That was his comment. He said, how do they make this look so professional? I'm like, it's all smoke and mirrors. I could make that in 5 minutes if I wanted to. You just know the way to organize things. The point is, people out there are still very susceptible to scams. They're very susceptible to crypto scams. We have enough going on in the crypto world right now that is negative. Price drops, FUD, manipulation, the whole thing. We don't need anything on top of it, including these, crypto scams. So look, what we see a lot of time are very intense pullbacks. We know Google just said they're going to step up their monitoring of YouTube. We'll see if they do or not. Obviously, they weren't yesterday, but I think it's good. We need to get rid of this stuff. It gives the rest of us a bad name. And if you're talking about crypto projects that rug pull and look, we certainly, over the summer last year, we had a project or one or two projects that we worked with that turned out they were scamming us and they lied to us about stuff. So as crypto influencers, we're constantly learning to, learning from our mistakes, but nobody's perfect. But there's got to be accountability somewhere. And, these platforms aren't the best place to do it, especially considering China owns TikTok. But, I think overall, ultimately, the idea behind it is good, is cleaning up the space.
Was that the scammer off camera right there holding a projectile? One last question.
Yeah, it was a scammer. She was supposed to be bringing me a jersey, and she just had a ledger.
One last question, and this is to the parents. So Ben and Crypto Wendy, since you're the mother to all the crypto babes out there, I want to ask, what age do you think it's appropriate for a kid to, kind of control their own keys? Whether it's just like they want to spend their allowance on Doge, or do you say like, no, like, this is a bad thing? I kind of want to say I lean towards, well, as long as they're not going too heavy on one bag, like maybe it's good to learn about rug pulls at an early age. Maybe it's good to learn about liquidity at an early age. What age do you find appropriate to allow your child to say, trade their own crypto?
Well, I have a 4-year-old daughter. She will be 5 very soon, and she holds Bitcoin. She has Bitcoin, but mommy holds it for her.
So she didn't set up her own like mining node and get rewarded with blocks.
She's 4. She knows about the candles and stuff like that because I talked to her about trading. But I actually think it's very good to kind of work with your kids and to let them invest on their own, but explain to them, like, let's say they come up to like, hey, I want to buy Dogecoin, or I want to buy XRP, or I want to buy Bitcoin or Ethereum, but kind of explain to them, this is what the project does, and, kind of work with them on investing and trading. And I think that's something that can be a great way to bond with your family and bond with your kids. Maybe start when they're like 7 and up, and make that be a family thing. Because the cool thing about Bitcoin and cryptocurrency is it's not only like about moons and Lambos and sick gains. When I learned about the importance of Bitcoin, it actually forced me to learn more about personal finance. So I think it's a great vehicle to go ahead and kind of teach your kids and whatnot. And I will be hosting some sort of events with the boxing gym I attend to teach them about personal finance and to teach them about the importance of Bitcoin and different things like that.
I like that. You get to lay down the facts and lay them down onto the mat. That would be good. So let's go to our second topic here. It's IMF embraces crypto. Those who don't know, I jokingly call it the International Monsters of Fiat. It's an international monetary fund. It's made up of 20 countries, 19 countries in the EU, the European Union. It accounts for 85% of the GDP, which is a huge amount. Basically, if you have a pizza, slice it into 7 slices. I don't know how, but you do. That's 6 of the 7 slices right there. It's only about 2/3 of the population, but it's a large portion of all the money. So Justin, I want to take it to you. With all these group leaders, it's like bank governors and a lot of these leaders of these countries. Is there any chance that they might talk a little sense into the U.S. about we need to move forward on a stable coin and embrace crypto a lot more, or is the U.S. just going to dig their heels into the sand still?
God, I hope so. I hope somebody talks some sense. I feel like we're losing the race when it comes to adopting cryptocurrency. I think the writing's on the wall, and the world is going this direction. Everything has gone digital, including art at this point. So why wouldn't currency go completely digital? Inflation is not like it's not a secret. It's happening. So I don't know maybe they're playing on a different level than we are. Maybe they know something we don't know. It doesn't seem like it though, because you have other countries that are really embracing it. And I feel like if we don't get to it in the next 2 years, we're gonna be like Cardano. We're gonna miss the party altogether.
Yeah, I'm sure the Ada gang loves hearing that. And those who don't know,
it's not him. It's Tommy. It's Tommy.
Yeah, I got to stab every time I can.
Those who don't know, like a lot of these countries, they are, they're passing us. China, for instance, is giving a lot of their citizens stable coins. They had a lottery system, and they can use it for their public transit in certain areas. I think it was Shanghai. Mac and Cheesy, I'm going to bring it to you. So we had a Fed official. They're speaking about stablecoins, and they're saying, rather than have a Fed-issued stablecoin, it might be better to use the private sector stablecoins that are already on the books. We've talked about it a lot. Tether is the most used. USDC, which is backed by the same company that runs Coinbase. This seems to be getting more of a favorable rating from the government officials. Do you see any kind of advantage to the stable coin? Should we issue our own, or should we just let the free market decide? Or are you worried about a centralization rearing its ugly head into these private sector coins?
Well, regarding the government creating their own kind of digital stable coin, I almost compare the US dollar as a digital coin as it is. I mean, I'm I'm young. I haven't used a dollar in years. Most people, they transact in Venmo. They use Zelle. So I really don't use a physical dollar for almost anything. So from the eyes of like the government adopting, their own digital stablecoin, sure, it'll be a movement in the right direction for crypto itself in a sense of, moving into, acceptance of this digital currency. But from affecting my day to day, I really don't see it impacting it. Now, to the second question regarding the private sector leveraging those stable coins instead of the actual digital, government dollar, I don't hate that idea. I mean, we've seen it. It's been leveraged and it's been used. The centralized entity, whether or not you think Tether's backed, is a different story. These other stable coins, whether it's actually backed by a dollar or you have the algorithmically stabilized stable coins, I anticipate that one that will be accepted or one that is kind of embraced by the government will be a stable coin that is truly backed by the dollar. It won't actually leverage one that is a algorithmic stable coin. I mean, you can understand maybe their hesitation on that. Look no further than the Titan stable coin or Iron, what happened a couple of weeks ago with that. So I don't think it's a bad thing going into kind of embracing the private sector in this case.
Yeah, I like that take. Well, I mean, we'll see how it plays out. I will say it's probably likely that Tether will face a little more scrutiny if, or maybe they just try to bump it out of the way. So the Fed, they said they're going to release a report this summer on stablecoins and what directions we should take. Ben, these are the de facto powers that be. These are the people that we talk about. I've mentioned them before. They're the ones, you see the cartoons from 1920 with, the fat cats with the cigars and, it's the oil trust and the railroad trust and the steel trust. These are essentially the modern day equivalents of that. Are there any secrets that you might can you read between the lines? Can you read the tea leaves? And is there anything that, maybe not being said on these headlines that you think is being developed as that G20 meeting was taking place?
Well, yeah, I mean, one thing I've been told that has came out of it is very contradictory to what we're seeing right now, and very contradictory to what a lot of people think is happening. A lot of people think that these CBDCs are going to be taken over very soon. But one thing that came out of this meeting is the central bank governors of the world, they want CBDC development to slow down, and that's the marching orders that they handed down in this meeting to your finance ministers of the top 20 economic countries in the world. So that seems very counter to what we're seeing about a lot of information, but it would make sense. When you think about these central bank governors, they want to make sure they have everything under control. If you have one country right now, I think there were, God, I wish I had the number in front of me. I think there are more than 80 countries right now developing their own CBDC in one form or another. It is crazy how many are looking at this. But if you think about it, if you've got all these different countries working towards it, now China's going to do their own thing, obviously, the digital yuan. I would assume they're not in the G20. Let me look that up. I assume they are not. They're usually left out of a lot of stuff here. I don't know. Maybe they are. Yeah, they are in it, actually. So we do know that they're moving forward with their digital yuan. They're doing a lot of testing, but it still is not fully launched yet by any stretch of the imagination or anything like that. So they are rolling it out in test, but it's a long way from being complete. I think that it makes sense if you've got one country moving like way far ahead when it comes to CBDCs and they don't do it right, it could mess up the rest of them. And when you realize that, here's what a lot of people don't know. A gigantic portion of the central banks in the world are owned by a very small percentage of people. There are a few people that own a lot of those central banks. And so, you don't want one country to roll it out and botch it when really you're actually behind all the countries. You may want to have a more uniform plan to where CBDCs get launched at the same time. So that's what I'm hearing. We'll have to see how much that develops. I think also, why would this happen? Why would they want to slow down CBDC development? Well, they want to give the USDC enough room to run here for a while to be able to, become the premier stablecoin of crypto before they switch over to actual dollar-to-dollar CBDCs.
Well, I want to bring this to Justin. Justin, you were actually in another continent this whole past week. Now I'm almost wondering, are you an IMF agent? Are you secretly an agent? But if not, did you see, I know you're in Colombia, and it's bordering, if correct me if I'm wrong, it's bordering Venezuela, I believe. And we all know Venezuela, they're having a lot of issues with their currency. You're there, you obviously, you work for BitBoy Crypto. Was there any talk of currency? Did the people there seem excited? Did you see U.S. dollars changing hands? What's the landscape looking like at Colombia right now?
So Dash has always been a big cryptocurrency in Latin America, but right when I pulled in, which was new, this is like the third time I've been to Colombia. By the way, my wife's Colombian. She watches the show. I love you, honey.
Does she get you your Tommy shirts? Is that where you get your Tommy shirt?
Yeah,
she hops for you? Okay.
Not wearing Tommy today, though. Very disappointed.
Not today. I'm wearing American Eagle. Trying to bring it back, too.
Oh, okay.
Oh, he's pumping and dumping American Eagle. Okay, great.
Trying to get it back. Anyway,
censor it.
There was, when we left there's nothing wrong with American Eagle. When we left the airport, there was a billboard, a cryptocurrency billboard. It was in Spanish, so I couldn't read it, but there was a cryptocurrency billboard right there when we left the airport, which is promising. There's been Bitcoin ATMs all over Colombia, or at least all over Medellin. So it's always, with Venezuela collapsing like it is, like it did, there's always been an interest. There's several countries down there that have that issue. Unstable political environments, unstable economic environments. So they're always looking for a way to hedge against their inflation, hyperinflation, just to make it. It's a sad state down there in some of those places. So it's definitely a place where cryptocurrency is needed, and I think they're starting to see that. And yeah, I've never seen a billboard over there like that. So that was encouraging right when I landed. Big cryptocurrency billboard right there by the airport. So I think people are waking up.
Yeah,
sure.
You weren't opening a El BitBoy satellite office out there, were you?
El BitBoy, yes, that's what I was doing.
I knew it. I saw your secret
El
plans.
Boy de Bit.
El BitMan.
So, Wendy, I'm going to bring this to you, the last question. One of the things they were talking about was easy cross-border, fast transactions can actually maybe hurt some of these smaller countries like Colombia. Because what can happen is, when a currency fails, there's what they call a run on the banks, where everybody tries to go pull their money out at the same day. A lot of times there will be, a limit on what you can get on what days of the week you can withdraw money, depending on what first letter of your last name is. So they're saying, if anything, a stablecoin can actually help destabilize these countries. It would make a run on banks a little bit more similar. Do you see this as something that countries with, weaker currency, is this something that the citizens should worry about? Or is it the opposite? Now that they have the financial freedom, they could put their currency into Bitcoin or Ethereum or, one of the more blue chip currencies out there. Is it actually a plus for these citizens? So you think it's good or bad for these citizens in these more destable countries?
I actually didn't think about that point that you brought up, that people wouldn't be able to go into the bank and kind of withdraw everything that they wanted to when they wanted to. So that would be definitely a con. But at the same time, I really do believe that there should be options for people. No one should come in and say, this is the currency that you have to use. It has to be Bitcoin, or it has to be USDC or USDT. I love Bitcoin. I think it is an amazing hedge against fiat currency, against the US dollar, against other fiat currencies. But at the same time, we do need some sort of stable coin, just because Bitcoin price is very volatile. Like, I'm a trader. That's what I spend a lot of my time doing, and analyzing price. And because price is so unstable, people need some sort of way to a safe haven to put their wealth. And I think that stable coins are a very, very beautiful thing, and they're great for that. But at the same time, I actually didn't realize that could be an issue if they just go ahead and they come in and you have to use Bitcoin. I think that I'm hoping that the governments or the legal bodies would go ahead and give some sort of guidelines to make a smooth transition. Unfortunately, we can't rely on them for that. But I do hope that they also do integrate some sort of stable coin as well. I don't see how they're just going to make Bitcoin as a legal tender without having whichever government have their own native fiat currency. I just don't believe that is going to fully happen.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's take it to our last topic here is the halving cycle dead. And those who don't know, just a little bit of background about Bitcoin halvening. It started with it started 50 blocks, 50 Bitcoin every 10 minutes. And it's written into the code that Satoshi or, whoever you want to say who or they were, every 210,000 blocks, it gets cut in half. So it was originally 50 every 10 minutes to 25 to 12.5 to where we're at right now, 6.25. The next one, I believe, is in March or June of 2024. It can kind of vary. Then it'll be only 3 and some change every 10 minutes. So essentially, the price is deflationary. It costs more energy to produce, per Bitcoin, which in theory, it will pump up the price of Bitcoin. Now, we're going to return of the Mac here. I believe you're the youngest here, so you're probably a little more concerned with green energy. Just generally speaking, younger people seem more concerned with that. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing. It's a good thing. Can you see clean energy actually boosting the price of Bitcoin, or is it going to be such a narrative how we can't waste energy, it won't boost the price? How do you see that playing out in like a 5, 10, 20-year timeline?
Right. So the Bitcoin is bad for the environment narrative is one of the biggest narratives, at least that you hear. And I think there's a lot of misconception around it about what actually, energy. We don't have an energy problem. We have an energy distribution problem. If you were to put a solar panel on across Delaware, there'd be enough power for the world, basically. So there isn't a problem with energy. We have actually a surplus of energy. The problem is actually leveraging this energy to make it usable. So in terms of this clean energy, narrative about Bitcoin specifically, will this affect the price long term? I'm of the camp that actually Bitcoin is good for the environment and it's a net positive. Why is that? Well, look no further than El Salvador, right? El Salvador, they're looking at mining Bitcoin through the use of volcanoes. Now, this is crazy, but why can they do this? They can do this because they're able to create a renewable energy resource that allows for them to be profitable because of this Bitcoin mining. And as a result, they can use this energy to power the local towns. People don't necessarily see this. With renewable energy, the amount of energy that's generated is actually variable, right? So by the energy being variable, it's difficult to build up that baseline so that it's profitable. But what Bitcoin provides is it increases this baseline so that you can actually create more renewable energy. And then that way, there's actually an incentive for people to create this renewable energy. So by building up this baseline, because Bitcoin uses X amount of energy, no matter what, you can strengthen the resiliency of the network itself, which I can go into a tangent about that. But really, the strength of a grid is directly proportional with the GDP of a country. And now, so it strengthens the grid itself. It incentivizes renewable energy that would have never been created before. So Bitcoin as a whole, if you ask me, it's a net positive. And I think why this narrative has really gained so much strength is just because that's the narrative that certain media companies want to push. That gets clicks. What doesn't get clicks is that it's actually, there's reasons why it's positive for the environment. But I think over time, as people get more and more informed about the scenario regarding Bitcoin mining, they'll realize that, maybe this isn't the worst thing. And again, energy has to be used for something. That's what basically the financial system is built on, is energy. So who's to say what is good energy usage and what is bad energy usage? So even though I am the youngest, I personally think that over time, as people get more educated on the matter, they'll realize that Bitcoin mining isn't necessarily a bad thing for the environment, and it won't really be a major narrative.
Yeah, Mac and Cheeasy, that was a good point. One of the issues he was bringing up is it's not an energy creation issue, it's an energy distribution issue. And what he was talking about, I've done a little bit of research on this, and some of these, first world countries, we don't really feel the effects that much, but a lot of these places with, like he said, a lower GDP, you're going to have a not as good electric grid. for every 100 gigawatts that you're producing, maybe 60, 50 will actually get to the light bulb inside the home. So a lot of times they will lose 40 to 50% of their electricity, and it just goes nowhere. It's basically wasted. So yeah, it's definitely an issue. Hopefully, you know, some infrastructure changes that will change, you know, and energy will become less of a narrative. Now, Justin, I want to bring it to you. It almost seems like eventually there's going to be one of two scenarios. You're either going to have like all the mining machines, they're still mining Bitcoin and they're fighting for scraps. You know, you have worldwide mining machines all trying to get 1 Bitcoin every 10 minutes, or, you know, like half a Bitcoin every 10 minutes. I see this going one of two ways. It's either we're going to have $1 million Bitcoin, or you're going to have miners turning off their Bitcoin mining machines. Which way, what do you see more likely on, say, you know, 40, 50 years from now? I know that's hard to project, but what, if you know, you're in Vegas, you had to choose one scenario, where do you see it moving forward?
Going back to the energy thing real quick, I think what the Bitcoin bad for energy narrative has done, it's given the FUD and the market dumpers like an ace in the sleeve kind of deal. Like, there's no way to completely solve this problem. So there's always going to be a way to dump the market. Like, there's always going to be a story they can put out to completely dump the market. I think it's the energy narrative across the board, whether it's with Bitcoin, whether it's with automobiles or cow farts or whatever, is such a hypocritical space. It's such a hypocritical space that it drives me insane. So now that it's moved into crypto, it just annoys me so bad. But anyway, going back to the question you answered, in 40 or 50 years, I think Bitcoin's going to be well over $1 million. I think it'll be several $1 million. I think probably in the next 10 years, you could see $1 million Bitcoin.
Is Mr. Tether out saying $1 million Bitcoin is still on the table? Mr. famously said tether out, and he actually was right when he said, you're saying $1 million Bitcoin. Unfortunately, for me and probably a lot of people watching, I didn't tether out. I was a believer. I kept DCAing.
This is surprising from Justin, that he's being so bullish, because as someone in the chat said so eloquently a little while ago, every time Justin talks, I feel like I'm being reprimanded.
Well,
any response?
That's just my tone. I'm sorry. Whoever that person is, I'm very sorry. But anyway, just listen.
I think it was Austin from Altcoin Daily. He's still got it out for you.
Somebody also said +1 Tommy Hilfiger. So
nice. See, it's working. But anyway, it'll be. I never said I'm completely bearish on crypto for the rest of my life. I'm completely bearish on crypto in this time period right now that we're in on this cycle. So I think we really need to look back and like not continue to buy the dip when it keeps dipping. We need to settle down and figure out what the market is.
No.
But anyways, going back to the question,
I'll never settle down. Never.
Yeah, settle down. Just keep dumping your money into it. But what I think
touche.
What I think it's going to do to the miners, I have no idea. You know, if there's a $5 million Bitcoin in 20 years, I mean, it's kind of hard to believe they're going to turn the miners off. You know, so that's all up in the air. I do think Bitcoin's going to be well over $1 million within the next 10 years.
It's interesting that you bring up the cycle, and Ben, I want to take it to you. So this cycle has been unlike any cycle we've seen before. They always say beware when they say this time's different. Well, this time seems different, which makes me think that we are still going to have that parabolic top, because it usually isn't different. So I would say the main difference this time is, you know, you would have miners, they mine Bitcoin and they sell a percentage to cover their electricity costs. But this cycle we're seeing miners accumulate in record numbers. You know, Bitcoin inflows looks like they're hugely down. You know, we're hitting like, you know, really low lows for this. So miners have gone from just mining Bitcoin and selling it to becoming, you know, buyers of Bitcoin. Do you see this like as a good thing, or is this just market manipulation?
Well, I mean, we looked at the beginning of the year at, you know, there was certainly a lot of dumping when we hit 42,000. There was a lot of dumping from miners at that point. But I think what we could be seeing for the Bitcoin and the Ethereum miners, I mean, obviously the Ethereum miners, they're going to be out of a job soon, right? They're going to be looking for other coins to mine as Ethereum moves over to proof of stake. For Bitcoin, we might see more accumulation, because I don't know where the mining community stands right now. But right now, from the environmental standpoint, Bitcoin's future is very much up in the air in terms of what could or could not happen. If all the governments of the world get together and say, hey, you know, this is bad for the environment, we are going to ban Bitcoin mining, which I don't think is going to happen, right? But it certainly is possible. It's in the realm of possibility that could happen. It's also in the realm of possibility that Bitcoin would, switch over to proof of stake down the road if the outcry got too much. And remember, the facts, especially when it comes to climate change and the environment, facts do not matter. What matters is the big money driving the renewable energy business, right? So it doesn't matter if what they're saying about it is true or not. It doesn't matter that gold mining uses more than Bitcoin mining or the banks use more than Bitcoin mining. That doesn't matter. What matters is the media narrative around climate change, the environment, renewable energy, and Bitcoin. Now, so you've got to think that these miners feel more uncertainty right now probably than they have at any other time, at least since 2014 when Mt. Gox went down and Silk Road, before that. It's probably the most uncertainty in the market for their profession. Things are changing with Bitcoin mining drastically. Hash rate is getting shared. United States is looking at doing more. So maybe some of these almost exclusively Chinese miners, all of the biggest mining pools are in China, right? Maybe they're hoarding right now, more than they were in the past because they don't know exactly how much more they're going to be able to mine or continue to mine. So I don't know, maybe there's difficulty adjustment on the way down to make it easier. Like maybe that's all part of the plan. I can't say for sure. But, I do think there's more uncertainty around mining than any other time in history. So I think that could be also why we're seeing that. It's not like all of a sudden the miners are now like, oh, Bitcoin's just going to be more valuable down the road. Like, let me just go ahead and get some more. No, I think it's the uncertainty that comes, from the mining community in general right now that's causing them to do that.
Yeah, facts don't matter. I like to quote Bill Clinton when I say something like that, and that depends on what your definition of is. Now, last question for Wendy here. We're seeing, let's see, I know you're really good with the macro outlooks. You're one of my favorite Fibonacci, influencers out there. I'm almost every time you say something about the Fibonacci, I actually do it's actually one of the things that I look forward to as far as report and resistance. When you make your macro outlook, are you using the halvening cycle, or it's not really factoring into the Fibonacci flow?
You know what? I'm not that good when it comes to using fundamental factors in my technical analysis. It's something that I do struggle with a little bit. Because I kind of like to trust my gut, and I like to pay attention to the numbers. I like to pay attention to the price action I'm seeing between support and resistance. However, in that regard, I will say that mining economics is immensely important. It was one of the most basic fundamental aspects of Bitcoin that many people do not take into considerations. I take it into consideration as I'm cognitive and I understand that it's happening, but I don't take it into my analysis when I'm charting and whatnot. And the reason why is I still do believe that Bitcoin is a very new asset class. And just because we had previous patterns that happened in the last 10 years doesn't mean those fractals are going to play out accordingly. I like to kind of pay attention to what's happening this week, what day, and then use my technical analysis to kind of give me an idea of where price could go. But mining economics is something very, very important to pay attention to. The only issue that I have with it is a lot of times when the miners are selling some of their holdings to pay for overhead, they do it on OTC desks, so it's kind of hard for us to track unless we have their wallet addresses.
Yeah. Well, Wendy, you're supposed to tell us the price 7 years from now, 17 years from now. Don't you know that? People just want to know the price far in the future. All right, well, that's all we have time for today. Looks like we actually have a tie for first place. We have Tommy Talks and Ben holding down the top spot. I don't know what to do now. What are we going to? Are we going to give each of y'all 15, 30 seconds? Or
I'd say give it to Justin. Give it to this guy has done more to bring down the crypto community than anybody else. Let's go ahead and have him lift him up.
All right, Justin, lift us up here. You got 30 seconds. We're going to end with you.
You know what? It's not going to be about me this time. So there's a really good drop coming out in, what time is it right now? In 1 hour, basically, on Eureka.com. It's for Trey Mancini. It supports cancer research, early detection for colon cancer. Trey Mancini, 28 years old, plays for the Baltimore Orioles. He got diagnosed at 28, stage 3, stage 4 cancer, survived it, set out the 2020 season, now is playing this season. He's in the Home Run Derby tonight. We helped him with an NFT. all proceeds are going back to his foundation that supports cancer research. So it's an amazing cause, great story. You guys, if you're watching, go check it out. Eureka.com. Get you one. It's a fixed price. There's one fixed price one, and then there's a gold auction one. So you can put in a bid, or you can buy one at a fixed price. So that's all I got.
All right, that was a fantastic ending. Let's all support a good cause like that. Eureka.com, and that's all we got time for today. BitSquad, DEEZY out.